Estes, there seemed to be a surprise reaction to some of the board members when you proposed your 2 cents deduction. Why?
Well, this, of course, is typical with each new board. As you know, the budgeting process is a 12-month process. We've been in the process of developing this budget since last September. We assess needs in September and October. We assign priorities in November and December. We cost out alternatives in January, February, and March. Then in April and May, we start putting together then the total budget after we have considered priorities and the trade-offs.
Everything, except for that 2 cents deduction. And that was popped on him on Thursday, and she was pretty
Of course,
surprised.
this is not true. What the board had done is look at the expenditure budget of $193.6 million. Beginning in May, we had started reviewing the expenditure budget with the committees of the board. Then, of course, we pulled all of this together on Tuesday before the retreat for the new board members. At no time, of course, did we review the income picture, and the reason for that, of course, is that the state legislature in the special session has only recently adopted a state school finance plan, so it was impossible for us to go over the income picture before this time. Factors here. In the first place, as you know, last December, we went to New York City to the rating services to try to maintain a AAA rating service for our school bonds. We were very successful in that. As a matter of fact, out of New Hampshire, we're one of 8 school districts in the nation that have a AAA rating. A major reason for that was our 5-year projection. That was this last December. We projected at that time, without additional state revenue, we would be able to reduce taxes by 2 pennies this coming year. Now, with the state, in effect, reducing the local fund assignment, the equivalent of a 17-cent tax increase, then it certainly would be inappropriate for us to not pass on some of this, consistent with our report to, of course, the New York bond rating services. Secondly, 3 or 4 years ago, the business community looked at our 10-year projection for the school district. And of course, with increasing demands for public tax dollars and decreasing sources of revenue, they indicated that we must begin to take a very critical look at the operation of the school district to make sure that we were proceeding in a most cost-effective way for each of the last 9 years. At the board retreat, I come to the board with a complete budget along with our recommendations concerning the tax structure. In recent years, unfortunately, that has always called for a tax increase, and that's a part of my proposal. This year, because of our efforts in the state legislature, it's possible for us to consider a 2-cent tax decrease. Now, obviously, this is only a proposal. Ultimately, the Board of Education must review the priorities, they must allocate their resources accordingly, and come up with the final budget, the final salary schedule, and of course, they must set then the tax rate.
Do you think there'll be really a lot of problems if you don't get this 2 cents deduction?
I think based on what we have done with our financial experts, with our rating services, what we have done with our own Dallas County delegation and our commitments to the state legislature, there may be some difficulty in explaining why we have not been able to pass on some of the $20 million increase in our operating budget, a 12% increase, why we haven't been able to pass at least some amount of that on to the local property taxpayer.
What kind of support do you think you have from the board?
Oh, at this point, the board is doing exactly what it should, and that is studying all of the information. It is a complex process. We have given them priorities. We will give them additional information on Wednesday evening. Their job, of course, will be to study that, to relate that to their own priorities, and then give us an indication as to what they would like for their budget and their tax rate to be this next year.
Okay, real good. Thank you, Dr. Estes. Okay. There seemed to be a surprise reaction by some board members when you proposed your 2 cents tax deduction. Why? Oh,
What you mean is okay?
Okay. What kind of board support do you think you have?
Do that again and say, just straight and say what kind.
Okay. What kind of board support do you think you have?
Any more questions?
Is it realistic to propose such a small tax decrease when taxes rise every year?
Okay, give me a little bit of nod. Not a whole lot of nodding. Kind of maybe shift your weight a little bit. Not quite violently.
Oh.
Just looking. And don't fidget. I see that. Just kind of change your head proportion a little bit.
Kevin, is one of the reasons to attract industry